Hello, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Cabral again, just giving you a quick lesson for the week about our language arts skill that we're going to be practicing. And this week with our story, we actually have two skills that we're going to focus on. The first skill that we're going to kind of talk about real quick is character motivations. So when you think about motivations, it's that thing that kind of makes you want to do what you do. So a lot of times you guys are motivated to get your work done because you know in class we're going to have Fun Friday, or you're motivated to do your chores at home because your parents are going to give you an allowance, or maybe it means you get extra screen time on your tablets or computers or something like that, or whatever the case may be. So motivation means why someone does something. So some examples that I kind of came up with characters that I think almost all of us will know is like when we look at Mulan. In Mulan, she fears for her father's safety, so she decides to go and fight in the war in her father's place. So her motivation was safety, or protecting her father from having to go to war because he was an older man and not strong enough to probably survive it. Then if we look at Aladdin, he has a few motivations for why he acts the way he does, but one of the things I wanted to point out is in the beginning, he steals from the marketplace. And even in the song in the beginning, he says, I steal only what I can afford. So he steals out of a need for food, for his basic survival. He has to eat. So the only way that he's able to eat is if he steals. Not a great reason to steal, like we shouldn't be stealing at all, but that would be the motivation behind Aladdin stealing, is that he didn't have any other way to get food for himself. Then we have Ariel in The Little Mermaid. She changes into a human so that she can belong with the person that she loves. She had a need to fit in and be one of those people that could walk on land and fall in love with Prince Eric. So her motivation was one of belonging and love. Then we have Simba in The Lion King. After his father falls down off the edge of the cliff into the stampede, Simba gets scared and he runs away. He fears that the other lions in the pride would blame him for his father's death, so he runs away in fear. So fear was a big motivator for Simba in why he acted the way he did, running away and finding other people to live with. So hopefully those examples kind of give you an idea of character motivations. Characters in stories act a certain way because of something else that's driving them. It could be love, friendship, belonging, fear. We even have villains. Usually villains in a story have some kind of revenge that they want to sick on people. I want to get revenge for them treating me a certain way, or for not being included as something. Like, think of Incredibles. The villain in Incredibles, he grows up and he feels like Mr. Incredible rejected him when he was young. And so he wants to take out his angry feelings of revenge because Mr. Incredible didn't pay attention to him when he was younger. So he wants revenge, and that's his motivation. I'm going to get Mr. Incredible because he did me wrong. So hopefully that clears up motivations. Our other skill that I'm not sure what that screen is. Our other skill that we're going to talk about is flashbacks. So a lot of times authors use flashbacks in stories to kind of get you to understand what's happened to a character or why a character feels a certain way. They kind of want to give you their backstory. So you know how you always say you don't know what another person might be going through, or you don't know what's happened to them in their life that's made them act a certain way? So flashbacks are a helpful thing that authors, and even in some movies, they use flashbacks to kind of show us, well, this is what happened before. Recently, Frozen 2, it could be a good example. There was some sort of flashbacks or things that went back in time so we could see what happened before Elsa froze over Arendelle and made her big ice castle in Frozen 1. They actually used Frozen 2 to explain a lot of what happened that led up to that. So, structure of a story with a flashback. It usually starts in our present time, what's going on right now. And then in the middle somewhere, it goes back to the past to tell us, well, before all of this happened, this is what that character went through. And then in the end, it brings us back to the present and we have a new understanding of that character, or maybe we have a little more sympathy for them because we know what happened to them, or we know why they're an angry person or why they're a cautious person or something like that. So, thinking like a writer, authors use a flashback to explain why something happens and to give you a little peek at what is to come at the end of the book. So, in our story this week, you will read Miss Rumphius, and I want you to see how that author uses a flashback as a way of describing our character or telling us why something is the way it is. I have here 2 examples of flashbacks in movies that I'm pretty sure most of us have seen. The first one is from the movie Tangled, and it's kind of comes at the end of the story. Rapunzel's back in her tower, and she's putting the crown on, and we'll see her quickly flash back like a memory pops into her head. So now she's remembering all the things that she's painted, and she's looking. And now she's flashing back all of these memories. So now she's realizing that she was the lost princess, and she remembers now getting kidnapped by Mother Gothel, and that was kind of like a sensory memory, a sensory flashback. So if you've ever sometimes like a certain smell will remind you of somebody or remind you of being somewhere, or if like Christmas, like if you smell candy canes, it might kind of flash you back to the smell of candy canes in your grandma's house at Christmas time. So that cloth and that little flower that she drew were kind of like a sensory memory that sort of took her back. This one, the second example, is from Ratatouille. And let's see if we can figure out what his flashback shows. Okay, so in that example, you can tell that it's a flashback because as soon as he takes the bite, you see his eyes go big and we whoosh back in time when he was a little boy and maybe he was sad and he remembers his mom making him the ratatouille and now he's happy. And then it whoosh back into the present time and now he's excited to eat the ratatouille because he knows he'll have that happy feeling from when his mom used to make it for him in the past. So those are some examples of how a flashback can be used to make someone have a memory or explain something about a person. And whoops, hopefully this will help you guys this week as you are working on and listening to Miss Rumphius. So have a great day and enjoy your week. I will see my class in the Zoom room and Mrs. Sparr's class. Maybe we'll see you in a Zoom room one day soon. You never know. Bye-bye.